Yeah, let's talk about video games. Um, I used to be a big gamer too, and I think it correlates with my COVID story where we're all at home. It's all I can really do. So my time playing video games has grown at that time. But then over the years, there was a point where I quit video games and not playing in a long time. And you mentioned that it doesn't make sense when you saw your friend who was trying to optimize his victory in the game. He's not even having fun anymore. Like, what's the point? I think what video games have done is they gave mostly men, because I think that the community of people who play video games is mostly guys. There's obviously girls who play the video game as well, but I think why guys have such a drive towards video games is because it gives them a sense of status. It gives them a sense of victory. And I guess in a world where they're not able to access a sense of status or victory, they're not able to access a sense of power or pride in something they've achieved or something they've done, considering the amount of testosterone they produce and like how they're primarily designed, it offers them something the world doesn't offer them. And obviously there's levels to it. There might be people who say, oh yeah, but like they might think we're talking about the people that are sitting in their mom's basement when they're 20, just playing for 8 hours a day. But I think this category of people also encapsulates just people who might play for an hour a week or 2 hours a week. Like they're obviously driven to those video games because in the video game they're a dragon slayer and they're a champion and they have all the status and they have friends and everything. But in the real world, it's just like a place where they're not able to access that. So yeah, what are your own experiences with video games? Have you played video games before in your past, or do you still play, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a part of that being like an escape from reality, right? But I think the same reason that people watch TV shows or movies, right? Like I enjoy movies a lot, and I used to play video games more than I do today. But like I watch movies where I read books because I want to like get away from my work or my job, right? So in a fictional world of a movie, it's like, oh, I can spend 2 hours in this other world where I watch whatever superheroes, like Spider-Man doing cool things. That's kind of nice. Um, I see that interesting point about in a video game, but right, like you are Spider-Man, in a sense, you're getting status and power that you wouldn't get in the real world. And that's kind of nice. I wonder what the implication is that like you're doing that in a video game because you can't do that in a real life, right? So in a way, it's like a power trip. Like I really enjoy, like when kids play GTA, it's like, yeah, I can just beat up pedestrians and be okay with it because we can't do that in real life. A lot to unpack there. But yeah, I think I definitely used to play when I was a kid. Again, I had a PS2. That was my first console when it came out. And my dad would be like, no, 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 no. You can only play so much a week, right? Before we like take it away and hide somewhere. Like they hid it below the heaters. I will find it in the heaters. Um, so yeah, my brain will like constantly be thinking about it when I'm not playing, especially when I was like 13 and 14. It's like, oh, I gotta go back and do homework now. But all I want to think about is, oh, the next time I'm gonna go back to video games. These are all the things I want to do. Because there's so many possibilities, and it's like this whole world where I can be someone else and have powers and status, right? And I think it took years for me to really, I think during COVID, actually, when I got my PS4, after so many years of not having a video game console, where I was like, okay, there's a balance here, right? There's an escape, there is a sense of relief in some ways from all the tension from your work and your job, but you shouldn't be spending so much time on it because other stuff are important too, right? When I was in my dorm room alone with a TV and a PS4 and my laptop for homework, junior year of college, it's like great. I can sit here and play games all day, literally, because I finished my homework. There's not much. School is easy. I can sit here for 12 hours and beat this game today. But then what, right? Eventually, I ran out of video games. But the world hasn't moved on. Like I haven't interacted with the actual world, right? I haven't talked to people. I haven't like seen a human being. I haven't literally have not seen a human being. I'm just at my screen. Like I saw that was a little dangerous, right? Like it was so easy for me to jump into this hole again and just be like, let's beat this game, buy a new one, beat that one. I can beat a game a day and finish the entire library in a week. But then what? All right. Or it's in the real world, it's like, oh, I can meet friends. I can go have coffee with them. I can talk to them, go on a podcast. And then what? Well, but then there's a bunch of other stuff I can do, right? It's like a video game, but better and more realistic and more open world. Like literally, video games are trying to emulate the world, and it fails because there's so much in the world that you can do. And that's kind of my mindset now, right? Like sometimes I'll play video games for an hour, and my character would, run. however many miles. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go outside and do that, right? I can train like my character. That's kind of cool. Instead of vice versa, right? Instead of my character has power, so I don't have to do anything. My mindset is like, okay, my character can do these things. So why don't I want to do those things? I'm gonna go to the gym and like lift because then I can do these cool parkour stuff and run fast and like go hunt a polar. I'm not gonna hunt a polar bear, but like, right, it would be cool if I could in the real world. So I use video games now almost like a motivation for myself to get better at what I do, right? Yeah.
When you mentioned that you use video games, or not even video games, but like a fiction story or a book as an escape, I think that's totally fine, right? Because I don't think it's healthy to spend all your time with your work and using things, whether it be like reading a nice book that's really entertaining to you, or watching a show with like your family where it's like a social aspect, or it's going on a hike in the mountains. Like I think having periodically time set away from things is healthy for sure. Um, but I was thinking back to the other thing you said about how you're thinking about it all the time, right? And that draws a line between a form of escape versus a form of like now this is your whole life, right? And I've noticed in my own past, I get really obsessive with things, which I guess is a good thing because when I get obsessive with my goals, then it's like that's all I do and it's fun. But when I get start playing a video game and I get obsessive in that, I can see periods of time like throughout all of COVID, I'm just playing Call of Duty Warzone and Minecraft all day and every day. And all I can think about is like the farms I'm going to build or whatever that might be. So yeah, I guess when you talk about your story at college, it really shows the other side of the coin because there's this one life where you're all you can think about is like Minecraft and Call of Duty and these video games. But then there's you in college who's like, I'm triple majoring, I'm doing philosophy, math, physics just because for the hell of it, because I enjoy it. Plus, I'm going out and being social, I'm playing tennis, I'm doing all these things. And to me, that's a very fulfilling life, you know? Because you're able to go out and do things. You're able to go and experience world, have life experiences while making progress toward the goals that you chose that are meaningful to you, that are separate from the external success, right? Because then obviously you're pursuing college for the sake of hopefully landing a job and making money in the future, but there's also a different aspect of it where you're able to have those life experiences, right? So I think for people that maybe listening and maybe see themselves in a similar place where they lack that sense of satisfaction in life and they spend a lot of their time on the video games. I think the getting off video games is probably one of the habits is it's easier compared to like I think dieting and maybe limiting social media use because I think the video games are very easily replaceable, right? Where if you're obsessed with the video game, you can get obsessed with the gym or going on runs or trying a sport. But yeah, I think definitely when I started doing more with my life, instantly like the amount of times that spent playing video games just like dramatically decreased as well. If you enjoyed that clip, then you're going to love the full length podcast. Click here to watch the entire length podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.